All right, welcome everyone. Thank you for tuning in on Facebook Live or after on our podcast or our YouTube. I'm Emma Goldblatt. I'm the program manager here at Shamayim, and we are so happy to have here today Alex Cerussi with us. So first, a bit about Alex. She is the state policy manager at Mercy for Animals, a global nonprofit organization dedicated to constructing a more just and sustainable food system. In her role, she lobbies on state and local policies related to farm animals, plant-based food procurement, and the environment. She is licensed attorney and serves as co-chair of the American Bar Association, TIPS Animal Law Committee, Policy and Alliances Subcommittee. Alex also serves as board chair of Harmony Farm Sanctuary in Bend, Oregon. So Alex, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Emma. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. So I just wanted to first ask, what initially inspired your journey towards being an animal advocate?
Yeah, so I think I've always had an innate desire to help animals in some way, like I'm sure many of us here have. And so growing up, I really thought the only way to help animals for a living was either to become a vet or work at a shelter or something like that. Really just, the only things that I had been exposed to as a kid. And so it wasn't until I was accidentally placed in a introduction to constitutional law class in undergrad in college that I learned that animal law was an actual thing, that there was an opportunity to practice law and policy and protect animals. So that led me to going to law school, where I tailored my studies around animals and the environment as best I could. And towards the end of my schooling, I had a fortuitous meeting actually at a conference I attended all on my own to try and meet folks in the movement and learn more about these opportunities. And I met this wonderful group of people. We were having lunch at the conference who were sharing personal stories about going plant-based and the connection between food, animals, people, and the planet. And fortunately, there was kind of no going back for me there. I felt I needed to kind of face what was really going on when it, with regards to farmed animals and our food system, if I was going to be a true advocate and really pursue this avenue. So that's kind of what inspired this. I think it just started with this innate feeling that I wanted to do something for animals.
Yeah, absolutely. Very nice. Can you tell us a bit about Mercy for Animals and how people could get involved?
Yeah, of course. So as you mentioned in my introduction, Mercy for Animals is an international nonprofit organization. And our mission is to end industrial animal agriculture or factory farming by constructing a more just and sustainable food system for all. So for animals, but also for the environment and for people. And to accomplish this, Mercy for Animals does quite a bit. We advocate for government policy change, which is kind of my area of expertise. And we also advocate to and work to increase market share of plant-based foods. We collaborate with companies and other organizations, policymakers, farmers, and communities to do this and try and change the food system. And so as far as opportunities to get involved, there's really a lot of different opportunities. So this could range from becoming an official Mercy for Animals volunteer or interning with one of our many departments. I know our Government Affairs and Public Policy Department is looking for an intern right now, but you can find similar opportunities throughout the organization on our website. And if I can make a specific plug to sign up and learn how to volunteer. You can go to mercyforanimals.org/action-center. And, as state policy manager working on legislative and other policy initiatives around the US, I would advocate, if you're interested in advocating for these policies in a volunteer capacity, to try and take advantage of that, whether it's through Mercy for Animals or a local organization. But there are plenty of opportunities to advocate to protect animals, people, and the planet. I've learned from my last handful of years of experience as a lobbyist and a grassroots advocate that advocates who are willing to lobby their legislators by testifying in support of a good bill, or in opposition of a harmful bill, or something like emailing legislators asking for them to take a stance or vote a certain way, or meeting with legislators in person can really affect real change. And so I guess I'll wrap up by saying that legislators do want to hear from their constituents, the people they represent, and they also have a responsibility to represent the needs and wants of their constituents. So while it may seem pretty cliche, using your voice on behalf of animals can affect real change. So.
Okay, yes, thank you for sharing. And I'll make sure to include that link
Great.
anywhere that this video is so people can easily find that. Okay, well, what changes do you think are the most critical right now, and how can we best inspire people to make those changes or move towards that?
Yeah, and so I guess I would say, speaking from, again, kind of the realm of work that I do at Mercy for Animals, the current food system implicates more than farmed animals. And so, as I mentioned before, it negatively impacts people and the planet as well. Fortunately, we have seen more recently introduction of legislation and various other policies being introduced at the local, state, or federal level that seek to shift food purchases towards more plant-based foods or climate-friendly foods. And I really believe that enacting these kinds of laws or putting into practice these kinds of policies that prioritize plant-based food procurement is a systemic approach to dismantling the current food system that harms animals and contributes to climate change and jeopardizes the health and well-being of communities. So I think that's something that that shift is really critical and important. But it's also really exciting to see not just organizations or lobbyists like myself, but individuals across the US engaging more and advocating that food have a place at the table when we're considering ways to either reduce greenhouse gas emissions or prevent deforestation and things like that.
Absolutely. Sorry about that interruption before.
Oh, don't apologize. For a moment, I almost thought it was mine. I intentionally closed the door, but I can hear my dog and cat scratching. So
Yeah, I guess if an animal's going to interrupt, this is a
it
safe
makes sense.
place to do
Yeah.
that. But yeah, definitely just our food choices for sure is the first way. It's interesting because I talk to so many different people about animal advocacy and who are advocating for all different sorts of things. And whenever I ask what's the most critical change, it's always moving towards plant-based foods. So
Interesting. I mean, that's great to hear. And yeah, and I think, to what I was saying earlier is that it's such there's a holistic way to approach food system reform, whether I know we're here to talk primarily on for advocating for animals, but there are the environmental components and the environmental justice components and the public health components. And so we've found and others have found great success or more success when we go beyond the our normal animal welfare allies and try and bring in build a diverse coalition and just bring in various stakeholders who all care about food system reform for various reasons or a combination of all of it. So that's great to hear. But yeah, I'm also feeling it's, as policy making can be a very slow process, unfortunately, but I genuinely, even in the last couple of years, have seen positive development, especially when we're bridging that gap with other stakeholders, kind of combining forces to implement some of these good policies for animals, people, and the planet.
definitely. Well, I'm glad to hear that. It's always nice to hear something positive. So
Yeah.
well, thank you so much for your time and for sharing about what you do and how people can help. And yes, thank you everyone for watching. Have a great day.
Thanks, Emma.
Thank you.